3-week wonders. That's what we called the new guys. That's all the training they got, and it wasn't enough.
Medal of Honor Pacific Assault is the 7th game in the Medal of Honor series and the 2nd game for Microsoft Windows. It is also one of the weakest games in the series. You play as Private Thomas Conlon, a Marine fighting the Japanese forces in the Pacific Theatre during World War II. During the game's opening, which recreates the historical Battle of Tarawa, you are wounded and the game flashes back 2 years prior, detailing the events from Tommy's first day at boot camp right through to several operations that lead up to his final mission against the Imperial Japanese Army. Early on, you're introduced to your squad mates who will be alongside you for most of the time. Pacific Assault does have a narrative between missions and certain characters seem set up to be killed off, but instead, in-game, whenever they take too many bullets, they just get knocked off their feet for a few seconds before getting back up. The only one you really want to worry about is the medic. Instead of health kits, the only way to heal yourself is to call the medic over and let him fix you up for 5 or so seconds.
I'm down to 3, Tommy.
Something which you can do 4 or so times during a mission depending on the difficulty level chosen. Medal of Honor strays somewhat from the formula in previous games. You work with your squad almost exclusively, giving them basic orders like pushing forward or retreating, orders which they take with a grain of salt. The concept also applies to the Japanese soldiers, as squads are quite often led by an officer, though I have never really noticed any difference between how they act whether or not their officer is alive or dead. Compared to Allied Assault, which was almost a run-and-gun shooter, Pacific Assault feels a lot more tactical. Your stance when firing a weapon will have a profound effect on its accuracy. Standing and moving will be the least accurate, whilst lying prone will have the highest. Holding down the left mouse button is the worst way to get things done, and quite often you'll only want to tap out a couple of shots at a time. Iron sights are included, but like so many other things in the game, there is a slight delay when using them, and you can't snap out of iron sights until a few seconds after you've fired a shot. Lying down and hip firing a shot at a time is the best way to get the job done. In true Medal of Honor fashion, all of the weapons are modelled off their real-life counterparts, and there is a great attention to detail as always, but some of the weapons are totally useless. Rifles, for instance, are just a waste of inventory space and are incredibly underpowered. Now, I'm not any sort of military expert, mind you, but I would think that a rifle to someone's face would pretty much put a damper on the notion of them continuing to function as a human being, as would a high-powered sniper round to someone's chest. Instead, the Japanese soldiers seem to shrug these off like it's nothing. Semi-automatic weapons are your best bet, as you can fire off shots quickly enough to keep a group of enemies at bay, but ammo can be often hard to come by. And it seems that whenever you run out of ammo is when you normally find yourself face to face with a bonsai charge. The bonsai charge, for those who skipped history class in high school, was a tactic where the Japanese would rush the enemy positions with their bayonets, and, well, you can guess the rest. Quite often just ignoring all concepts of self-preservation and common sense as they charge at you from the other side of a village. And you will be seeing a lot of villages in this game. After you've finished up with boot camp, you're thrown into the jungle where the majority of the campaign takes place. It's rendered with the Lithtech engine seen previously in other games like No One Lives Forever 2 and Tron 2.0. There's some neat shader effects, and load times aside, it functions well enough. To be fair, the jungles do look quite good, and they actually function as camouflage and cover during gunfights. The only problem is that that's all you're going to be looking at. Each level is really just one large corridor where you go from outpost to outpost, taking out an MG nest or a sniper tower before moving on and doing it all over again. Even the iconic Pearl Harbor mission, which tries to cash in on the success of the D-Day mission from Medal of Honor Allied Assault, falls into this hole. It's incredible in its inception as you're taken on a tour of the historical naval base before the Japanese bombers begin carpeting the area. You scramble for cover, trying to desperately reach the carriers to help fight back, before you just end up hopping from one turret to another, shooting down planes over and over until the next scripted event occurs. Half the time taking down American planes by accident because you can't see what the hell you're shooting at. Those rare occasions when the game shifts gears and lets you do something other than just shooting people are actually some of the best moments in the entire campaign. Like the area where you have to sneak up a river and spy on nearby patrols, or the one where you're in a foggy swamp waiting for the inevitable ambush. But these short sections are largely overshadowed by the multitude of poorly designed levels. Like this bit here where they just expect you to come to grips with the controls for flying, at the same time as you're thrown into a dogfight with a dozen Japanese planes. Or the level later in the game where you have to hold out on a ridge as hundreds, yes hundreds, of soldiers swarm up the hills. After the 15-minute mark, when I was still shooting soldiers, I actually thought the game might have glitched out. But no, it just goes on and on like this. After I finally survived that wave, the game made me go up another hill and do the same thing all over again. Helped in no part by the idiotic friendly AI, which was as helpful as tits on a bull. For your consideration, I even captured a short clip of just how useless the AI was in this situation. I mean, just look at this fucking dipshit. They really are a waste of pixels. In fact, I don't think I saw my teammates kill a single enemy soldier the entire time. So you're probably thinking by now, does this asshole like anything about this game? Well, sure, I mean, I like some stuff. I liked using the Browning rifle the 2 or 3 times I actually got my hands on one. I liked the drill sergeant in the tutorial levels.
The lower creatures of the land, God called soldiers, and he gave them trousers too short, covers too long, and pockets to warm their hands.
And I really like the sound and music. In fact, I don't think there's ever been a Medal of Honor game that hasn't had exceptional sound and music. But this is just such a horrible game in so many ways, and every single little thing feels unfulfilled and unrealized. It's not that the ideas are bad, it's just that they haven't been implemented properly. Also included was a really cool and fun class-based multiplayer mode. Though like a lot of games from that period, the online support seems to be pretty much non-existent. The only way you'll ever get a game going is by running it over a local area connection. Medal of Honor Pacific Assault isn't a hard game to get a copy of, but I can't really see why you'd want to. It's a game that feels schizophrenic more than anything. I think these guys saw games like Far Cry and Call of Duty and kind of wanted to do the same thing, but ended up having a tug-of-war between what should be included and what shouldn't. In the end, it all just got thrown in together like some sort of horrifying concoction. 2004 was a good year for first-person shooters, and compared to Pacific Assault, you can do a hell of a lot better.